Hey there, Josephites. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Josephite Podcast. Our guest today is someone who's made crowds across India move to his music. Martin, thank you for joining us.
Jump onto the field and play football. I think that's that picture that I have in my mind every time I walk through school.
A lot of Josephites have told us the difference between the old and the new building.
Yeah.
But I think the overall vibe is still the same, right? Home is still
Yeah,
home.
of course, home is still home.
Your classmates, you're from the batch of 2001.
Yeah.
So the batch of 2001 is celebrating their 25-year Silver Jubilee celebrations this year.
Because Bangalore traffic wasn't what it was now, so
Yeah.
15 minutes you would reach from anywhere to school.
But Martin, of course, today you're involved entirely in the world of music.
And I remember we used to go to the music room, get yelled at, being part of the music club, which I was. And I think that kind of laid the foundation for me to become who I am today. It, of course, took a few years to evolve into it.
What do you think the Martin Dsouza back in 10th grade would say if he saw the Martin Dsouza today?
Good job. I think that because I used to be really shy in school. Your life is not determined by what you do when you're 14, 16. I think when you pass
Yes.
out. Your grades in school doesn't determine who you are later in life.
I think the friends part makes so much sense because I remember whenever we get punished, they would laugh and make you laugh. And
Yeah, and you get whacked even harder because you're laughing. You know, be it in India, or I meet people when I'm traveling to other countries. You know, and it's so weird that I'm going for a gig randomly and I meet somebody and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm from Bangalore as well. I studied in Cottons, and I'll be like, hey, you are my enemy back in school, but you know what? We're all friends right now, so it's absolutely fine.
Hey there, Josephites. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Josephite Podcast brought to you by the Old Boys Association, St. Joseph's Boys High School. My name is Ryan James and we are back in campus. And our guest today is someone who's made crowds across India move to his music, one of the country's most respected DJs, an absolute force on stage, and proudly a Josephite from the batch of 2001. Join me in welcoming Martin Dsouza. Martin, thank you for joining us. So tell us what's cooking. How has 2026 been so far?
It's been great, actually. I think landmark year for me. I just got married.
Wow.
And people at my age, I'm 40 now, so it's a big thing getting married at 40. But I'm happy. It's been great. Work's been amazing. So I got straight back into work after I got married, and work's been beautiful. I've been traveling. I did a gig in Oman, came back, and then been all over the country. So great start.
That's awesome. Congratulations
Thank you so much.
on the wedding.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Josephites look forward to getting married and of course
Yeah. I mean, take your time and do it when you're prepared. Yeah.
awesome. Martin, so tell us, of course, you came through the gates. Tell me the first thing that came to mind. You know, what were the memories that was immediately striking your head as you walked?
I think a noisy corridor.
Okay.
Yeah. Kids making so much noise, waiting to, get your break so then you jump onto the field and play football. I think that's that picture that I have in my mind every time I walk through school. Of course, the time I studied in school, we had the old building. So
Right.
it's completely changed now. I miss the old building, of course, because we spent so many years of our lives over there. But I think it's beautiful coming back to school all the time because it just brings back all those memories.
Well, of course, I think a lot of Josephites have told us the difference between the old and the new building.
Yeah.
But I think the overall vibe is still the same, right? Home is still
Yeah,
home.
of course, home is still home. And for me, school was a lot to do with the people.
Right.
And it's nice that I'm still connected with a lot of those people from back in those days. And I meet them quite often, be it my principal,
Right.
be it the teachers, or be it my friends, my classmates, juniors, seniors. It's really nice that we're all still connected.
Well, speaking of the people, your classmates, you're from the
Yeah.
batch of 2001.
Yeah.
So the batch of 2001 is celebrating their 25-year Silver Jubilee celebrations
Yes.
this year. So tell us, how's the preparation? How's the excitement? You're going to catch up with so many of them after
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I think it's something that I look forward to. So I make sure every year I come back for the OBA day because I think that's that one day of the year, at least I get to catch up with everyone. And now I'm sure they're going to be larger numbers. And I'm going to be meeting a lot more of my friends from school who are going to be coming back we've just started the prep work.
Yep.
And the discussions have started. So I'm very, very excited. And I'm hoping it's a great celebration and reunion for all of us.
Quickly look at that camera
Yeah.
and tell all Josephites to make it for the OBA weekend, September 1st.
Josephites, mark your calendar and make sure you're back here in Bangalore in school, and make sure you attend the OBA day and the blue and white ball. It's going to be massive celebrations. 25 years, man, time really flies, and it's going to be great to catch up with everybody. So please make sure you're here and come join the celebrations.
So Martin, let's take you back to school.
Yeah.
Why don't you just quickly tell us first off, what were days in school like for you?
Man, I think waking up really early in the morning and making it to school. Of course, Bangalore traffic wasn't what it was now. So 15 minutes you would reach from anywhere to school. So that was great. But I think the minute you rush in, we're all carrying our bags, discussing with each other, hey, did you do your homework yesterday or not? And then the obvious plan was always looking forward to the break that we had and who has the football today. So then, we get onto the field and play. And I think that was the only agenda for us. Getting to school, get into class, catching up with friends, sharing each other's food, which was a big thing back then. And it was so nice because, everybody got food from back home and all of us used to share food. Whoever got that extra pocket money used to run to the canteen, grab food, and then, just hop onto the field and play football. And man, it was so much fun. Right. It could be the smaller break, it could be the lunch break, it could be after school, and that's the only thing that we did.
Yeah, I immediately picked on the fact that you said canteen. So I'm sure the canteen it obviously evolves through the years. Yeah. But tell us, what were some of the popular food items that you would buy from Abu's canteen?
Samosas. Okay. I think that was something that I thoroughly miss. So when we actually come here for OBA day, we rush to the stall over here to pick up the samosas, and we used to call it pintaks. So those are the pintaks, those are the candy. Okay. I don't know how to describe it. The candy bar, the candy stick.
Okay.
The one that comes in pink and the one that is...
Okay, now I got it. Now I figured.
Yeah, the peanut one. So that is something that we all used to love as well. And it used to be our go-to. And of course, we used to get donuts as well back then, which was a luxury. So if you have a little more money, then that's the luxury that you could buy.
I think donuts also during our time was pretty good. So I think Abu always maintained that standard. What about lime juice? Was lime juice there?
I think, for us, it was all about eating.
Okay.
So lime juice always came secondary. Man, as kids, you're always waiting to just eat as much as you can. So, yeah.
But Martin, of course, today you're involved entirely in the world of music.
Yeah.
And when we think of school, like today, there's music club, there's a guitar club, there's plenty of options, there's plenty of fests. Why don't you give us a insight on how things were back then?
I think back then things were very different. The kind of songs we used to learn itself was so different. And I'm so glad because I think back then we never really realized what we are learning because we were learning basics of music, which now I realize how important it was. Even the kind of songs that we learned. And I remember we used to go to the music room, get yelled at by our chair, and then having a blast still because everyone was singing together and being part of the music club, which I was. And I think that kind of laid the foundation for me to become who I am today. It, of course, took a few years to evolve into it because back in the day, I don't think the support system was that strong to get into a field such as DJing.
Right.
And it was considered to be a taboo. And I'm sure a lot of parents still think that. But, it's a profession where we go work, we earn a living, and we also treat it as a profession.
Okay.
Yeah. So school foundation was so important for us because I think what I learned back in the day is what is actually helping me nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think the Martin Dsouza back in 10th grade would say if he saw the Martin Dsouza today?
Good job. I think that because I used to be really shy in school.
Okay.
And I don't think it would have been that easy for me to just get onto a stage and speak to people. It took quite a bit, and I think I was quite nervous getting on to the stage, talking in front of people. I did do that quite a bit in school, but I know my confidence levels from back then to now. But I think I had a great environment because my friends were really supportive about it. The teachers were really supportive about it. And I think that really helped. People constantly pushing you and telling you it's okay if you mess up on stage, right? It's absolutely fine, but that's the only way you learn.
I'm really glad you touched up on that point because I've come across so many Josephites who actually have faced something very similar. They've been
Yeah.
the shy kind, or they haven't really been quite open or out there.
Yeah.
So what do you think a Josephite in that same place would have to do? Because of course, when you step out of school, you're entering to a bigger world. The challenges are a lot more. So
Yeah.
what would be your piece of advice?
I think one thing I would say is that your life is not determined by what you do when you're 14, 16. I think when you pass
Yes.
out, definitely not. I think life constantly keeps evolving and things constantly keep changing. So if you are in your 10th grade and you're completely lost and you don't know what you want to do in life, it's absolutely fine. I'm 40 now, and I probably still say this, that I probably will continue doing what I'm doing because I enjoy doing it. But
Okay.
if things change, I'm absolutely fine to shift and then do other things that I enjoy doing and make a living out of it. So it's absolutely fine. You can be as clueless as possible, but your grades in school doesn't determine who you are later in life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's a very nice point that you touched upon.
Yeah.
But Martin, now let's once again go back to the time in school when you were involved with music.
Yeah.
So today, I think tons of schools, tons of colleges organize music fests.
Yeah.
So Joseph's itself has a music fest today organized within the school. So
Cool. Okay.
can you tell us about your time? Did you have inter-school fests? Were there fests within the school?
So we did have fests,
Okay.
and but they weren't as active as they are nowadays.
Okay.
And I think the scale wasn't as big as it was. There were probably
Okay.
2 fests that were massive, and
Okay.
every school kid wanted to go to this fest
Right.
because you got to meet girls from other schools. And I mean, we were highly competitive, but but come on. I mean, I think that was the agenda for everyone. You studied in an all boys school, and when I was in Joseph's, it was an all boys school. And man, you're also a teenager, so obviously. But it was fun because you also got to meet people from other schools, and we also did have a few activities within the class, but it wasn't as big as it is right now.
Now, if we have to talk about yourself, so today, let's say there's a Josephite who wants to become a DJ. They have plenty of options to think about.
Yeah.
They can look up to someone like you. Who did you particularly look up to while you were growing up?
So honestly, DJing is not something that I wanted to do when I was
Okay.
growing up. I enjoyed music. I loved music, but I did not know what I would do with music or how I would be able to earn a living with music. So DJing, I would say, is a channel for me to express my love for music.
Understood.
Right? I
Understood.
can also be doing other things with music, but this is what I chose to do. It's something I enjoy doing because it has multiple aspects. One is, of course, music. The other one is the performance aspect that I love being in front of a crowd and performing now. I mean, this is the exact opposite Martin from school. And I thoroughly enjoy it. And I think that's what keeps me going. And I'm happy when other people are happy on the dance floor. And I think that energy really keeps going. Yeah.
That's a very nice point. So Martin, of course, I think one of the most important roles while growing up is the role of a teacher.
Yeah.
And I think Joseph's, we've had an amazing set of legends always leading us through school. So why don't you give us a glimpse on who are the legendary teachers during your time in school?
Actually, you know what? There were a lot.
Right.
And I'm trying so hard not to, say their nicknames, on this podcast, because that's how we all used to address them. No
Right.
disrespect to the teachers, but, we were brats. And that's how we addressed them. We loved our teachers. And a few teachers, I think, really made a difference in my life, at least. One was Miss Dsouza. She was also our class teacher at one point of time. And, she was one of those teachers who taught us things, but at the same time also taught us how to be good human beings. And I think that made a big difference. She was really nice to us. She didn't look down on anyone. She didn't make you feel dumb. And I think that's so important growing up as a teenager, that someone, especially a teacher at her position, is looking at you as a person who has potential and trying to teach you things. And I think that was something really great.
Right.
Another teacher was Miss Gauri. And man, she was one of my favorite teachers as well. She was an amazing teacher, and history was one of my favorite subjects. And we were also part of the history club at one point of time. And again, one more teacher who didn't just teach you that particular subject, right? The kind of education that she gave us was a lot more than just a subject. It kind of helped us become better people, better human beings, and I think a little more confident to face the world. And of course, Mr. Deepak Lazarus, he was the music teacher.
Right.
When I was in my 9th and 10th grade, he had just joined school, and he was one of those young teachers who passed out of school but came back to school to teach us. And it was so amazing. I still bump into him in a couple of places. And I think he was one of those guys who really helped us see beyond education or see beyond textbooks. And that was great because, he was a Josephite. He was in school just a few years before we did. And he's come back to school. So his perspective was so important for us, because then it opens up an entirely different world, because you're seeing someone who was your senior in school, who's gone out, come back to school, and is teaching you from a very different perspective. So, yeah, I think obviously there were a lot more teachers who really made a big impact on our lives. But these 3 teachers, I think, are people I will always remember, because they kind of helped me shape my career into what it is today.
Yeah, Gauri Cho still continues to be involved in school. Yeah, she did teach me also, and I think she always had that history class where she would make us read the newspaper.
Yeah.
She did that with you as well?
Oh my God. You know what? That's that one habit that's still stuck by. I mean, obviously, I'm not new. I don't read a newspaper because of the lack of access now. But online, I'm always reading the news. And it's something that I didn't realize how important it would be. But I think it's so important, because you know what is happening around you. And it helps you form opinions. It helps you form knowledge. And it's great. Oh, wow. I mean, that's so nice to hear. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Gauri Cho, for
thank you. Yeah.
putting in that habit. But of course, I think we all used to often get punished for the mistakes we did.
Yeah.
So speaking of punishments, do you recollect any of the fun? Was there a punishment that you think of and you laugh at right now?
Yeah, many punishments. You know what? I think being a Josephite meant you get punished at least once in your life, and that actually all of us got punished quite a bit, because we were brats. A bunch of boys in school. Also, being a Josephite gives you that attitude that, hey, I'm a Josephite, man. I think one of the punishments I'd never forget is Dr. David Chatterjee. He was our chemistry teacher. And I remember he caught me laughing in class. And he pulled me up. And I remember, I think it was a mistake, because I think he asked a question and I was talking to my friend about it, and he pulled me up. But then nevertheless, you can't justify these things. And he pulled me up in front of the entire class. And I think he's just like whacked me in front of the entire class. But, the problem was that, you're getting punished, but you're trying so hard not to laugh. And that was so difficult, because, again, everybody else is a brat in class, and you're trying so hard not to burst out laughing. And of course, we had so many incidents in the chem lab. And I met a few school friends of mine from, just a few days ago, and we were all discussing these things, incidents where we dropped chemicals in the lab. The lab was on fire. I mean, we're laughing about it, but thank God nothing bad happened. We kind of sorted it out back then. But these incidents always kept happening. Luckily, we got away with most of it. But obviously, we did get caught as well. Yeah.
Wow, I think the friends part makes so much sense because I remember whenever we get punished, they would laugh and make you laugh. And
Yeah. And you get whacked even harder because you are laughing, and it's because of your friends, and it's so sad because you're getting hit. Like, and I know it doesn't happen anymore because I think you can't hit a student anymore.
Right.
But I think back in our day, things were very different. but I mean, no regrets about it. We enjoyed those punishments as well. So yeah.
Well, now that we've touched upon the friends point, I think Joseph's, because of how we've grown up in school, that bond is so strong. So
Yeah.
tell us, after leaving school, how did your batch ensure that, you're all at least interacting with each other, or how did you do it individually?
So honestly, I think things change a lot after school.
Right.
Like I said, it's those formative years, right? So things are very different. You're in a very different mindset, and your focus is what to do next. Be it university or be it India or you want to go abroad. Luckily for me, I did my PUC, my PU in HJPUC. So
Okay.
I met a lot of my school friends who also moved there, and we were always in touch because we were all on the same campus. Some of them were in my class. So, we used to meet up during the lunch breaks or after college or during competition. So that was something nice that those next few years, I kept meeting my Josephite friends
Okay.
in college competitions. And it was great because you know what, you've known them, you've grown up
Right.
with them pretty much all your life, till then. And then you're meeting them in a very different space.
Correct.
Right. And that, I think that's something during the college days. That's the only way we could all probably keep in touch. Cell phones weren't a thing back then. I think when I started my degrees, when cell phones were accessible to all of us. So till then, it was pretty much this. Even social media wasn't a thing back then. We probably had Orkut, which was a social media
Right.
platform. And your access to a computer was also so much lesser back in the day. So I think that way keeping in touch was difficult, but it's fine now because I think over the years you meet friends across different walks of life, be it work or be it our OBA day, and I think that's quite nice. Unfortunately, most of my batchmates scattered across the world.
Right.
Everyone moved to different parts of India or different parts of the world, and but a few years later, at least now we are all meeting up or bumping into each other, or we make that extra effort to keep in touch. Now we have a WhatsApp group,
Okay.
which is getting spammed all the time. But it's great, that it's just one text message to a friend from school and you can catch up with them. So,
Right.
yeah.
That's so cool to hear that you guys are right now, of course, because of social media,
Yeah.
able to stay in touch.
Yeah. But it's a different era, like I said, because
Correct.
I think, man, it makes me sound so old, but it's the truth that there was no social media presence back in the day, right? And I think that kind of made a difference. Maybe
Right.
if we did have social media, all of us would have been much more well connected and better in keeping in touch with each other.
Right.
But I'm glad that whoever is still in touch is, we're still talking to each other, catching up, and at least making it a point to meet up on OBA day.
Okay.
And that's something that's so great because my batch, people are making an effort to make sure they land up over here.
Yeah, I think that is something distilled in all Josephites, that
Yeah.
whatever happens September first week
Yes.
is gonna be sports day. You can run the OBA 1500, you can be part of the OBA day, and
Yeah.
I think that's really cool that our school continues to
Yeah. It's
maintain
a
that.
very nice tradition, and I'm so glad that so many people are doing it. And also, whenever I come for OBA day, I keep discovering a lot more friends of mine are Josephites.
Right.
I've known them, like I said, I've known them across different walks of life. And now I'm meeting them here, and it's so amazing. And I'm like, hey, man, I didn't know you were a Josephite. Like, either they're a senior or they're a junior, and it's so nice because you see so many of them across the city and across the country.
Guys, so you all know that Martin Dsouza is a Josephite. So if you ever have a song request, go to him, tell you're a Josephite, and he will not refuse.
I'm gonna make you sing the school song. Only then you pass the test. But yeah,
Well, Martin, another question I want to ask you: which house were you
Patrick's,
in?
man. I was in
There we go,
Patrick's.
Patrick's house. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes, he's definitely playing the song Patrick's house people want. But Martin, tell us about how the house rivalry was back in school. Do Do you recollect?
Yeah. You know what? It's so ironic that you brought up this question because we were just having this discussion with a few other friends of mine. I bumped into Josephites, of course, and we were all arguing about houses. And it's the first, few questions that come across like, which house were you in when you discover someone's a Josephite?
Right.
And then the war starts. They're like, man, like, we beat you in this, we beat you in that, and we did better. We had better athletes. We had better this. We had better that. And it still continues.
Still does,
So
yeah.
the rivalry was always strong. And it's nice. I mean, it's fun.
It is
I
fun.
think it kind of develops a competitive spirit in you and
Mm-hmm.
that you want to do well. And it's still so prevalent after so many years. Yeah.
I know. I think that's something distilled in all Josephite, that competitive spirit.
Yeah.
And it starts from the inter-house level,
Yeah.
goes to the inter-school level, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Well, Martin, I want to ask you a rather deep question. So, if Joseph's was not part of your journey, how different do you think your life would have been?
Man, I think it would have been very, very different. I think being a Josephite made a big difference, which obviously I didn't realize back in the day. And you realize this over the next few years. And, we were having this discussion before we started off as well, that I've been meeting friends of mine from back in the day from school. And you realize one thing that, we all used to come to school for education. But I think we learned a lot more than just textbooks.
Correct.
And I think that was the most important thing that Joseph did for me. I think it molded me as a person, and probably the person that I am today is because of school, like largely because of school and because of the teachers, because of the principal. We had Father Michael John, who was my principal back in the day, because of your friends.
Right.
And it's so important that you have this base that's built in school. And I think that's something that Joseph's really helped me with. Just making me the person that I am today. Probably, if I'm competitive or if I'm strong-minded about something or if I'm positive about something, it's all something that I learned growing up. And all of that was obviously a lot because of school.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm very grateful to school, and I always will be, and very proud to be a Josephite. Every time I even pass by school, if my friends are sitting with me in the car or with my wife, and I still scream out saying, "Hey, yay, Josephs!" It's so much fun, but it makes such a big difference because for me it was a majority part of my life, and it's something I thoroughly miss.
Right.
Being in school. Of course, things are different now, but I think that school life is something I will always cherish for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Well, Martin, of course, we studied in an all-boys school, and obviously for us, the interaction with girls was something that we would have to put in a lot of effort
Yeah,
too.
man.
And I think guys also struggle to talk to girls because of the lack of, the chance to talk to girls
Yeah, of
from
course.
school. So tell us, how did it work back then? Were you all 100%, you all were chill talking to girls? Were you always confident?
Not at all. Actually, I don't think I was confident at all,
Okay.
at least when I was in school. Obviously, you're studying with boys the entire while, and all are brats. So it's not easy to go talk to a girl in front of these boys. But even our access was so limited. We didn't have social media.
Correct.
So even if you met somebody, it's not like you could keep in touch. I think the worst thing we had was, this. I'm sure a lot of people from my era would remember this, that we used to have landlines.
Okay,
So, we used to give missed calls because, if parents answer the call and find out that a girl or a guy is calling you, then becomes a big thing. So if you're calling a girl, then, you give them like one missed call.
Okay.
And then the girl will call you back after a while, when her parents are not around. And unfortunately, if someone had a caller ID, which was a thing back then, the parents find out whose number it is, then they immediately call you back. Your parents answer. It's such a disaster. Man, it was so difficult. Like, access was so difficult. So I think the only place we met girls was either in college, in school fests,
Okay.
or at tuitions. Yeah. That's pretty much it, because nowhere else, right? Or what the other thing was, school autos or school buses.
Oh, right.
Right. Back then, they used to dump, I don't know, some 10 kids into one auto, and that's your access, right? Because people who lived around your area were either, and they all studied around similar schools. So either they were from Cottons, Sacred Hearts, so that's your access. That's it. Autos, fests, and tuitions. That's it.
Damn, now that you brought it up,
Yeah.
didn't you all have the concept of writing letters and giving it to each other?
Man, you're making this making us sound so ancient. But you know what? One thing I'll never forget. You know what? We had something called slam books.
Okay. Oh,
Okay?
right.
And it's just this book that had like each page with questions. So it used to have name, date of birth, silly things like favorite color,
Right.
favorite food. It's just so weird, man. I can never forget the slam books because that's the way you kind of got to know people. So you buy a slam book, and usually when we were passing out of school or leaving your tuitions, then you give the slam book to someone and ask them to fill it up. Oh man, those things that and the kind of things you used to fill up.
Right.
Email ID. All of us were so deprived of communication that even with your email you had access to check it only after a month or two, right? So man, it was a weird time. Yeah.
Wow. So, you said you got married recently? Is she
Yeah.
from Bangalore?
Yeah. She's from Chikmagalur, but she
Okay.
studied in Bangalore.
Okay.
She's from SFX. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, that's really cool. That you
Yeah.
found
But
someone.
it's so ironic that I also grew up in Frasertown.
Oh, okay.
And our school was just a road across.
Right.
We never met, but
Okay.
I say this all the time. I think if you study in a few schools in Bangalore and kind of have a similar kind of friend circle,
Mhm.
Bangalore is the smallest
Correct.
possible city.
Correct.
You will know somebody or the other. Be it in India, I meet people when I'm traveling to other countries, and
Right.
it's so weird that I'm going for a gig randomly and I meet somebody and they're like, hey, you know what, I'm from Bangalore as well. I studied in Cottons, and I'll be like, hey, you are my enemy back in school, but you know what, we're all friends right now, so it's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool to know
Yeah.
that you've met somebody from SFX.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I think and also I think it's so much easier to connect, right? Because we all, we're the same age,
Right.
and because we studied in similar schools, a lot of things are very similar for all of us, right? It's a very Bangalore thing,
Correct.
and
It is.
it's
It is.
easier to connect with certain things, easier to discuss certain things. Yeah.
True. So, Martin, we've come to the last segment of our podcast. So,
Okay.
these are going to be a bunch of quick questions.
Yeah.
Ideally, a rapid fire, but we don't have that much pressure here. So, you can just quickly give an answer. If you want to elaborate on it, you're free to.
Yes, I'll try to be as non-controversial as possible. Come on.
For real. Let's be controversial. It's fine. But all right. So, the first question, favorite teacher?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Can I choose three?
Yes. Go for it.
Dsouza,
Okay.
Gauri, and Deepak Lazarus.
Awesome. Favorite subject?
History.
History. Least favorite subject?
Oh man, math.
Did you pass math all the
Yeah,
time?
yeah, I did.
Oh, you
I
did? Oh,
yes.
okay. So, he was a good student.
Yeah, I did actually quite well. ICSE
Yeah?
was very, very good. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. PT period, loved it or avoided it?
Loved it.
What did you all play mostly?
Football.
Football.
Yeah. Would give anything to bring those days back. Yeah.
Which house did you particularly hate? Or did you you'd see those house guys and you're like, oh.
You know what? It's weird. I mean, we were all friends, but I think David's probably most competitive against. Yeah.
I get why you say that. Okay, a favorite school event?
Favorite school event? I think our sports day.
Okay.
I
Yes.
got all of us together, and I don't know if you remember this, or I don't know if they still do this, but we all used to do, a drill together.
Club swinging.
Yeah, I mean, during you do like a dance
right.
or a,
Correct.
yeah.
As per
Oh man,
class.
I'll never forget those. It was very traumatic, but but it was fun. I mean, because all boys getting together, dancing, to a choreographed like steps to a particular song. But it was fun. I mean, I think all of us got together and just had a blast.
So
Yeah,
sports day was 2 days that back then, or it was?
yeah, it was
single
2
day?
days. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. Most iconic sport in school, according to you?
Football.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think on a city level, I think we had probably the best cricket team.
Okay.
We had the best hockey team, and we had the best football team at that point of time, and they were amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, we won every tournament possible. Yeah.
Well, okay. What do you think for you was the most iconic place in the school that you would always like to go and chill?
Man, the football field.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll never forget those days. Yeah.
Right. Then one rule you broke the most.
Oh,
Broken
this is
too many.
this is
You broke too many.
yeah. This is too complicated. We broke every possible rule. Yeah.
Was there a funny rule of sorts that you think it was too stringent, but you still?
I think I don't know if you remember this. I think you had to wear these white kids.
Okay.
And I actually, you know what, recently noticed kids nowadays wearing fancy Adidas, Nike shoes. We didn't have any of those. We had those canvas shoes and we had to keep them white.
Okay.
And it was
Right.
impossible because we all used to come and play football.
Correct.
So we all used to, steal chalk from the classrooms and, color over the shoes. Man, it was so weird. It was so stupid. But, it just didn't make sense. But it is what it is. Yeah.
I think time's flown so much that now the students in school, they get a direct Reebok or a Nike black shoe that they wear for all because you can use it for sport and it's black.
That's so fancy, man. Wow. We had like Bata shoes. I think we had to go to Bata and buy these shoes. Yeah.
That's why even Bata decided to start evolving.
That's why even they've upgraded now. Yeah.
One word to describe your Joseph days.
Best days of my life. Not one word,
Not
but
one
I
word.
think it's a phrase that I'll never forget those days of my life. And I think I cherish it. I miss it. And it's always good to be back in school because you kind of relive this in your mind. Yeah.
Wow. All right, Martin, last question. So this is a standard question that's going to be there all throughout to conclude the podcast session.
Okay.
Our amazing motto, faith and toil.
Yeah.
How much of, or how would you say that motto resonates in your life today?
I think who I am today is because of that motto and it's something I've stuck by. Like I said, you don't realize these things in school because you're
Right.
probably too young and it's a very different phase of life. But to do what I am doing today needed a lot of faith because it's probably an offbeat profession and was considered offbeat at least when I started off.
Correct.
Probably it's a little more eased into now. And toil, man, I had to work really, really hard to
Right.
probably get to where I am today. And I still am. Things haven't changed. And I think that's the only way to move ahead. Just have faith in yourself. Have faith in what you're doing. And work really, really, really hard for it. And I think you will get what you want.
Wonderful. One last set of words to
Yeah.
all the Josephites who've tuned in watching this video.
Josephites are dynamites. Dynamites!
There we go. So thank you so much, Martin, for taking time off your schedule and sharing your stories. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for having me. You know what? It's so nice to see that school is doing something like this and the OBA is doing something like this. So a big shout out to the OBA for doing so many activities and getting all the Josephites involved. It's absolutely great.
To all the Josephites watching, thank you so much for joining us. Do stay tuned. We have a lot more of episodes of the Josephite Podcast coming your way.